Have you ever heard of a woman in Italy who still rides her bicycle through cobblestone streets at 102 years old? Or a man in Japan who starts his mornings with gardening, laughter, and a cup of miso soup at 105? Sounds almost mythical, right? But here's the thing. These people aren't superhuman. They don't have secret potions or high-tech gadgets. What they do have are simple habits, daily practices that you and I can start right now. And science is finally catching up to what these long-living legends have known all along. If you're watching this and thinking, is it too late for me? Let me say this clearly, absolutely not. Longevity isn't about trying to turn back the clock. It's about adding more life to your years, more energy, more joy, more connection. Whether you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, this video is for you. We're diving into 5 real research-backed secrets from people who've lived past 100. Not just surviving, but thriving. And no, it's not just about eating kale or running marathons. You might be surprised by what truly matters. So let's start with the first habit of those remarkable centenarians. They move more, but not in the way you might think. We're not talking about hours on a treadmill or pushing yourself until you collapse. In fact, many of the longest living people in the world don't exercise in the traditional sense at all. Instead, movement is woven into their daily lives. They garden. They walk to the market. They sweep their porches, knead dough by hand, and dance with their grandchildren. In Okinawa, Japan, home to some of the world's healthiest elders, people don't retire to a couch. They stay active with purpose. A recent study showed that light, consistent movement throughout the day lowers the risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even dementia. The key isn't intensity, it's consistency. You don't have to lift weights or take up yoga unless you want to. Just keep your body in motion. A daily walk around the block. Standing up and stretching during commercial breaks. Watering your plants by hand. These little acts add up, like droplets filling a well. And here's the best part. Gentle movement can lift your mood too. It releases endorphins, eases stiffness, and helps you sleep better at night. Think of movement as a quiet act of rebellion against aging. Not to deny it, but to embrace it with strength and grace. Now that brings us to another secret that often surprises people. The longest living folks on Earth don't eat until they're stuffed. In fact, many of them follow something the Okinawans call hara hachibu. It's a simple phrase that means, eat until you're 80% full. Not 100%. Not Thanksgiving dinner full, just enough. Science backs this up. Studies from places like the National Institute on Aging show that calorie moderation, not starvation, just moderation, can reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, and even extend lifespan. It gives your body time to rest, digest, and repair. Think of it like giving your car a break instead of always pushing the gas pedal. And it's not just how much these people eat, but what they eat. Fresh, colorful whole foods. Lots of vegetables, beans, whole grains, and healthy fats like olive oil or nuts. Meals are often home-cooked and shared slowly. That's important. Slowing down to eat helps your body register fullness before you've overeaten. Plus, food becomes an experience, not just fuel. Now, I'm not here to tell you to throw away everything in your kitchen, but maybe start small. A little less processed food. A little more fresh fruit. Maybe pause halfway through your meal and ask, am I still hungry or just eating because it's there? These are quiet shifts, not drastic ones, but they matter more than we often realize. And finally, for now, there's a beautiful secret that has nothing to do with diet or exercise, but everything to do with the soul, a strong sense of purpose. Every long-living culture we've studied has this in common. In Costa Rica, they call it plan de vida. In Okinawa, it's ikigai. In Nicoya, it's why I wake up in the morning. Purpose isn't just a poetic idea. It's measurable. In fact, research from the University of Michigan found that older adults with a clear sense of purpose were less likely to suffer from strokes, heart problems, or depression. They even lived longer. And purpose doesn't have to be a grand mission. It could be tending your garden, being there for your grandchildren, volunteering at your church, learning a new skill, or simply being someone who brings kindness into a world that sorely needs it. One woman I read about in Sardinia wakes up every day with the same goal, to bake fresh bread and share it with her neighbors. She's 99 and still smiling. So ask yourself quietly, what gives my days meaning? What brings me peace or joy or connection? If the answer doesn't come right away, that's okay. Sometimes it takes a little stillness to hear that voice again. But it's there. You're not too old to move more. You're not too old to eat better. And you are definitely not too old to live with purpose. In fact, you may be just getting started. When you really think about it, a strong sense of purpose is like the engine that keeps the rest of the body humming. It fuels you through the quiet moments, gives meaning to the simple routines, and most importantly, it reminds you that your life still matters. Because it does. You're not here by accident. Every day you wake up is a page waiting to be written. And the longest living people? They keep writing their story, one meaningful moment at a time. Now let's take a deeper look into something that often gets overlooked in modern life. Yet it's one of the most powerful tools for living longer, staying socially connected. That's right, friendship, laughter, conversations that stretch into the evening. These aren't just pleasant parts of life, they're essential to it. In places like Ikaria, Greece, where people regularly live into their 90s and beyond, community is everything. Neighbors check on each other. Friends gather for long meals. No one eats alone if they don't want to. In fact, scientists have found that social isolation is as damaging to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's how much your body and brain need connection. And let's be honest, aging can be lonely sometimes. Friends move away. Family gets busy. You might feel like the world is speeding past you. But here's what's important. It's never too late to reconnect. A weekly phone call to an old friend. Joining a local club or walking group. Volunteering somewhere you're needed. Even chatting with the person next to you in line at the grocery store. These small moments of connection can be life-giving. In fact, a Harvard study that tracked people for over 80 years, yes, 80 years, found that the single greatest predictor of a long, happy life wasn't money or success. It was the quality of your relationships. Good relationships keep us healthier, happier, and mentally sharper as we age. And that's something we can all cultivate starting today. Now, if staying connected is food for the heart, then managing stress is like cleaning out the mind. It's no surprise that the world's longest living people tend to have a calm, peaceful approach to life. That doesn't mean they never experience hardship. Many have lived through wars, loss, poverty, but they've learned how to process those experiences without letting stress take over. In Okinawa, many centenarians practice daily rituals like prayer, meditation, or breathing exercises. In Sardinia, they laugh often and spend time outside. In Loma Linda, California, a unique community of long-living Seventh-day Adventists, people take time each week to rest completely from work, to reflect, to reconnect with family and faith. Chronic stress, on the other hand, is like slow poison. It increases inflammation, weakens your immune system, and accelerates aging. But here's the good news. You have more control over your stress than you think. Taking a few minutes each morning to sit quietly with a cup of tea, writing in a journal, listening to soft music, practicing gratitude, even just naming 3 good things at the end of the day, can train your brain to find peace in the everyday. And don't underestimate the power of nature. A walk in the park, the feel of sunlight on your skin, the sound of birds in the distance. These are the kind of simple, grounding experiences that help settle the nervous system. Even if it's just sitting by a window and watching the clouds move, give yourself the gift of calm. You deserve it. Now, I know some of this might sound almost too simple. Move more. Eat less. Find purpose. Stay connected. Reduce stress. But the truth is, simplicity is often the secret. The people who live the longest aren't chasing youth. They're not obsessed with diets or exercise plans. They're simply engaged, in life, in community, in the quiet rituals that bring them joy. And that's really what we're talking about here. Not just adding years to your life, but adding life to your years. Feeling good in your body. Waking up with a reason to smile. Having people around you who care. Breathing a little deeper, walking a little slower, and finding wonder in the day-to-day. No one gets it perfect. You'll have days when your back aches, or you feel a little tired, or the world feels heavy. That's okay. What matters is how gently you return to these habits. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Just begin where you are with what you have. Maybe that means calling someone you've been thinking about, or going for a short walk after dinner, or simply taking a breath before your next meal and asking, what would nourish me today? These are not just habits, they are ways of loving yourself through the years. And the people who've lived the longest, that's what they've done, quietly, consistently, with grace. Grace, that's the thread that runs through all of this, isn't it? The centenarians we've been talking about don't live longer because they fear aging. They live longer because they welcome it. They honor the rhythm of life instead of racing against it. And that brings us to the final powerful secret of long-living people. They embrace a positive outlook on aging and life itself. This might be the most surprising and the most overlooked longevity habit of all. In cultures where elders are respected, included, and even celebrated, people tend to live longer, healthier lives. And science backs that up. A study by Yale University found that older adults with a positive view of aging lived, on average, 7.5 years longer than those with a negative view. Not 7 months, 7 years. That's more than exercise or even quitting smoking. But it's not just about thinking young. It's about seeing age as a gift, not a curse. It's realizing that the lines on your face are maps of where you've been and how far you've come. That your stories, your experiences, your lessons, they matter. When you believe you still have value, when you stay curious and open-hearted, it shows. In your voice, in your posture, in your health. So many people hit a certain age and start to fade, not because they have to, but because they believe they're supposed to. I'm too old for that. It's too late now. But you know what? The people who live past 100, they keep learning. They keep laughing. They stay interested. That spark inside, they protect it. They feed it. Take, for example, a 103-year-old woman in France who recently took up painting for the first time. Or the 101-year-old man in Costa Rica who still builds furniture by hand, not because he needs to, but because he loves to. These stories aren't just charming. They're powerful reminders that as long as you're here, you're still becoming. So let's step back for a moment and look at what we've learned. The people who live the longest don't do anything radical. They move their bodies in simple, joyful ways. They eat until they're satisfied, not stuffed. They wake up with purpose. They stay connected to others. They tend to their stress like a gardener tends a flower. And perhaps most importantly, they live with an open heart and a resilient mind. Each of these habits on its own can bring benefits, but together they create a kind of quiet, powerful harmony. And the beautiful part? It's never too late to begin. You don't have to become a new person overnight. You don't need expensive supplements or strict routines. You already have everything you need to start. Begin with one thing today. Just one. Maybe it's going for a gentle walk. Maybe it's choosing fresh vegetables for dinner. Maybe it's calling an old friend. Or writing down something you're grateful for. These small acts send a message to your body and mind. I care about this life. I'm still in it. And if you ever feel discouraged, if you think, well, I've already lived most of my years, remember this. Some of the richest, most meaningful years could still be ahead of you. Longevity isn't just about adding time. It's about making the time you have count. You have wisdom. You have presence. You have so much to offer. Don't let anyone, including that little voice in your head, convince you otherwise. I'd love to hear what resonated with you most. Have you already been practicing some of these longevity habits? Or is there one you're curious to try? Let's keep this conversation going. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone else who needs it today. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. We've got more content on healthy aging, wellness, and how to live with greater peace and purpose, no matter your age. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. You are not finished. You are still blooming, still growing, still capable of joy, love, and wonder. Take care of yourself like someone worth caring for, because you are. Here's to your health, your happiness, and your beautiful long life.